The 2026 World Cup is finally here, and the United States men's national team will start their journey on Friday against Paraguay in a group that we all hope to see them advance out of. Now, this is a huge World Cup for the United States national team and for the country in general for hosting it for the first time in 32 years. And there's a lot of pressure on the USMNT to perform in front of their home country and prove that we are a serious soccer nation. Now, I'm starting to get optimistic and hopeful for our chances, and maybe I'm delusional. Maybe it's just the excitement of the United States hosting this huge, huge tournament. But I do feel very, very good about our team and our chances. So today I brought on my friend Filippo Silva of Tactical Manager TV to preview the United States World Cup chances. Guys, before we get to the video, though, make sure you guys give us a like down below if you enjoy the content. Also, guys, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. We're going to do a giveaway. If we hit 15,000 subscribers by the World Cup final, we'll be doing a jersey giveaway, maybe even two. So make sure you guys are subscribed if you haven't already, and hit that little bell notification so you don't miss any of our videos. Filippo, my friend, we are finally here. The World Cup is among us. You know, I think people are starting to get excited. There's a German blogger who's like blowing up on Twitter right now. He had like 20,000.
He's not a blogger. He's just kind of posting stuff.
Just posting stuff. He had like 20,000 followers when I found him like 2 days ago. Now he's at like 120,000. And the guy's just absolutely exploding on X. So that's a really cool story to follow. I'm pretty sure, you know, many of the listeners are probably following it too. But I feel like things are really starting to ramp up. And I just want to ask you how you doing and how you feeling about the World Cup heading into it now.
I'm doing great. Very tired.
Yeah.
I figured it would be like a lot of content coming out for both channels that I have. But overall, I'm very excited. Just energy drain. But once the World Cup starts, a few energy drinks, we start. And look, I said this before. This is, if you are a U.S. men's national team fan, this is the biggest World Cup of your lifetime. Even if you were around in 94. Right? Even if you were around in 94, this is the biggest World Cup of your lifetime.
No, 100%. Just because it's completely different, like soccer in this country, and in the fans' knowledge, the average soccer fan is just way different. And I think there's a lot more excitement for the sport in this country compared to 1994.
Well, in 94 also, the expectation was if the U.S. gets out of the group, that's already a major success, right? That was already a major success to get out of a tough group, by the way, that they did. This one, we are expecting at least one knockout win, hopefully two, which I'm sure we'll talk about.
Yes, we will. So let me ask you this, because we haven't really talked about this. Normally when we talk, we'll talk about other things other than soccer, ironically, right? But I haven't asked you what your thoughts were after the Senegal-Germany game. Those were two pretty good tests for the USMNT heading into the group stage, because I personally believe both of those teams are better than any team that we're going to face in our group stage, at least from a talent perspective. Maybe you could argue that Senegal's close with Turkey. But after those two friendlies, has your confidence level changed at all in the USMNT?
Not really. That's not me to be negative. I think I'm at the same place I was before. We played well both games. But the problem is, the one issue that has been concerning me for a few months, it's still there. It's the defense, right? We're leaking goals. And usually when you are an underdog, which not in the group stage, we might not feel it, but at some point we're going to play teams that are way better than us. People are going to say Turkey's way better than us. I don't think they're way better than us. I think it's very close. They have two players that are probably better than all of our players, or same level or higher, Yildiz and Güler. But my biggest concern is the defense, because every single underdog in World Cup history, they've started with a very strong defense. That was the first thing they all have. And it looks like from the games against Senegal and Germany, we are creating chances and we're scoring goals. It's just that we're also leaking goals. And we saw that in the March camp as well. We held one clean sheet over the past, 13 games, 12 games? That's one. So I would say no. These friendlies didn't really change my perspective. I still have hope for this team, and it was encouraging the way we played. But the concerns about the defense are still there. Now, mind you, when the World Cup starts, this can all change. We'll see in the first game against Paraguay, especially because Paraguay doesn't really have a good offense. So I'm hoping we can hold a clean sheet. But ultimately, what I was high on, I'm still high on. What I was low on, I'm still low on. But overall, I'm still hoping and thinking we can make it to the quarterfinals. I still think we can.
Yeah, no, I think we can too. Now, I want to ask you this as well because there have been a lot of people who have been upset with the full 26-man roster about like certain players being selected, Miles Robinson, and it made me think about the 2022 team a little bit. And I just wanted to ask you real quick if you think that this team is better talent-wise than the 2022 team. Like if you had a chance to take that team or this team in this World Cup, which one would you pick?
I mean, it's quite a big gap
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you put both teams, right? Goalkeeper situation is similar, right? I think Matt Turner was in better form back then, but Matt Freeze is not better. It's roughly the same. The fullbacks are the same, Antonee Robinson and Dest, but I think both of them have matured much more. Center backs, Tim Ream was definitely better back then, but Chris Richards was not there. Yeah, now that I thought about it, Chris Richards was not there. So better center back. Freeman was not there. That's another one. And then we had like Zimmerman starting. So again, big upgrade there. Tyler Adams, is he a better player now? Probably about the same. Probably about the same, and he's still there. McKennie also probably about the same, maybe a bit more mature, but about the same player. Christian Pulisic, coming off a bad stretch at the end of the season, but definitely more well-rounded now, has adapted his game to his new style of play after he lost some of his explosiveness. But look at the center forwards. Compared that one to this one. We had a Haji Wright that is way better right now than he was back then. Jesus Ferreira that was basically useless. And Josh Sargent that was at best serviceable, even though Sargent wasn't bad in the World Cup. He wasn't bad, but serviceable. Pepe and Balogun are way better than any option we had. Both of them would start in that World Cup right now. Both of them. And one of them is going to have to be benched. And honestly, the current version of Haji Wright would also start in that World Cup. So center forward, it's night and day. Tillman is a better player. Actually, Tillman wasn't there either, now that I thought about it.
I
Yeah,
don't think he was.
Tillman wasn't either. So that's another player right there that we had. So yeah, this team is way better. And even at Tim Weah, he had a decent World Cup score in the first game, was okay. He's a better player. I think the team is much better. Yes.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. It's kind of like the last 4 years have been such a roller coaster. It's kind of hard to keep, an idea of the timeline of like who played where. Get it, intertwined with Copa America or the Gold Cup of who was what, which players were selected. But I agree with you. I think the team is much more mature. You maybe certain players you'd like to see them in a little bit better form heading into this, but overall the team is definitely more talented. I feel like they're a little bit deeper, maybe in certain key positions. Now, defense, like you said, still an issue, but Chris Richards is automatically a huge plus having him back there. So that's what's kind of got me more optimistic as time, as we're getting closer to heading into this than maybe I felt, 6 months ago, just because I feel like this is probably all culminating at the right time. So let me ask you about the group stage, right? So we have Paraguay first, Australia second, and we have Turkey third. Now, this group doesn't have a big dog, right? There's not an elite, national team in here, but they have scrappy, very competitive, high floor teams that I think will be able to. We could beat any of these teams, but it's not guaranteed. Starting off with Paraguay, how are you feeling about us heading into that first game? Because they just had a key injury, right? And obviously there'll probably be some nerves, but are you feeling pretty confident heading into the first game?
Well, let's start by talking real quick about every team and their fan base. Then I'll go back to Paraguay. The best way to define this group is when I talked to a friend from Paraguay, he said that the Paraguayans were feeling very good about this group. When I talked to a Turkish content creator that I'm going to record an episode, he said the Turkish people felt very good about it as well. You talk to the Americans, they felt very good about this group. And Australians, at least what I saw online, same thing.
Yeah.
They felt very good. That's the best way to describe this group, right? There's no team here that is a title contender. Honestly, there's no team that people even expect to make it to the quarterfinals, right? We want the US to make it there. I kind of expect the US to make it there, but the world doesn't. Same goes for Turkey, Australia, and Paraguay. Paraguay qualified. So let's talk about Paraguay. Okay, let's start with Paraguay because you asked me about Paraguay. They qualified in sixth place in CONMEBOL, which is last place you qualify. Seventh goes to that Interconfederation playoffs. But Paraguay was tied in points with every team all the way to third place. So if they got one draw, they would have finished in third. So don't let that mislead anyone that they qualified in sixth. Their biggest weakness, they scored 14 goals in 18 games. That is terrible. That is less than a goal per game. But they conceded only 10 goals. So their defense was solid. They just lost Enciso. If the reports are right? We can only go based on what they're reporting. It looks like Enciso will be out, at least of our game. That's their best attacker. So what am I feeling about this game? It's like, I know it's the first game. Players will be nervous. It's different, right? At home. But it should be a game where, like, our defense that we're overly concerned about, we have to hold a clean sheet here. We have to. Like, this is a team that struggles to score a goal per game. And on top of that, they're missing their best attacker. So if we can't hold a clean sheet against them, it's going to be very hard to make it to the quarterfinals. It's going to be hard to win one knockout game. So we have to hold a clean sheet and get a win. I don't care if it's a 1-0 win. That's fine to me. It doesn't matter. We have to hold a clean sheet and get the win. By all means necessary, whatever we have to do, get it done and win. Now, what do I expect? That's what I expect. A narrow win.
So you say it's a must win. So they have to win this game,
Yeah.
or we're in trouble.
Well, we're not in trouble. It's just that if we don't finish first, the bracket, if we finish in second or third, gets a lot more complicated.
Yeah.
Like, getting out of the group, if we pull a draw, we're fine. We still only need one win to qualify. You could even qualify with 3 draws. It could happen. So it's not that we're screwed if we don't win the game. It's just that I would like for us to top the group. If we don't top the group, the odds of making it to the quarterfinals they deteriorate. That's the reality.
Well, I agree with you. If we win this, and I hope, they play like a bunker ball style. You said they scored 14, 18 matches and only conceded 10 goals in their 18
I don't
matches.
think they'll bunker, though. I'll tell you that. I don't think they'll bunker, but it's just that they're very solid defensively and maybe not as good as they should be offensively. I wouldn't expect Paraguay to sit back that much as people are saying. Based on what I've seen from them in World Cup qualifying, I don't think they're just going to put like Diego Simeone 1-0 lead in the Champions League style. Don't expect that.
Well, hopefully they don't do that, right? But let's just say, okay, so if we win, I agree. I think that it's pretty much guaranteed we're out of the group, right? And even like you said, second, third place, still a good chance we'll make it out of the group. So if we win, we're good. But if we were to lose, and I'm not trying to be pessimistic, I do think we're going to win. We head in this Australia game, right? And this is another chippy team. I think we're way more talented than them, but I do think they could beat us, maybe 2-3 out of 10 times. I would say very scrappy team, maybe kind of have a chip on their shoulder like we used to have in a certain sense. How are you feeling about this Australia game and the way we match up with them?
Well, similar to Paraguay, I would like to see a clean sheet, right? This is a team that does lack quality up top to punish you. So this is the type of game that you have to hold a clean sheet. And on top of that, we have to be able to score at least a goal. So my expectation would be the same as Paraguay. I think Australia, in terms of talent, they're even a bit below Paraguay. Not a bit, quite a bit below Paraguay. Because Paraguay still has some good players, right? Gustavo Gomes is fantastic. Miguel Miron is there. Maybe not the same as he used to be, but still a talent. And Cizo could be back at some point. So they have good players. But Australia, the problem with Australia is they tend to overperform in the World Cup. Like we saw that in the last World Cup. They didn't have a good team by any means. They were okay, but they did get out of their group. And they gave Argentina one hell of a fight. Like, Argentina struggled. There was a moment where I even thought, whoa, is Argentina actually going to go to extra time this team? Or they actually, like, what is going on here? So that's my only concern with Australia. Yeah, in terms of talent, we have more talent than them and we're playing at home. I just hope, like I said about Paraguay, that we can hold a clean sheet against them as well and pull a win. That's what I'm hoping for. And that's what I would expect and want this team to do.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And that's what I'm hoping too. Like, just to see us have a defensively sound game to where when we head out of the group stage, hopefully in first place, we're feeling good about facing these bigger teams, and our defense doesn't collapse to where we have to score 3 or 4 goals to win a game or 2 or 3 goals to win a game. So I do want to see the defense solidify and play better. So I think we'll probably beat Australia. I would think we would. And that leaves us to Turkey. And this one's a big one to me, Filippo, just because, now this is like the doomsday pessimistic take, right? If we were to lose to Paraguay and then somehow draw with Australia, which a draw with Australia could happen, right? It could be a 1-1 or a 0-0 draw. I could totally see
Mhm.
that happening. Then you go into Turkey where you have to get a result or you most likely are screwed. I would say if you have a loss, one draw, and another loss, you're probably going to be either at the bottom of the table or you're going to be one of the worst third seeded teams in the group. Um, would you say that if that were to happen, right? And I do want to talk a little bit about Turkey, but if we were to head in that game with just a draw, doesn't matter if it's Paraguay or Australia in a loss, do you think we would be able to win this game against Turkey?
Well, lucky for us, Turkey's the opposite of Australia, right? They tend to underperform recently in
Yeah.
tournaments, right? Not the 0-2 Turkey, that one overperformed, but they are usually the opposite. Well, Turkey actually has players that can punish us, right? If we make mistakes and we're not playing well defensively, Arda Güler and Yildiz will punish you. Do we have a chance? Of course. We have a chance of beating Turkey, but if we come into that game with the pressure of having to win to not be completely embarrassed, right? I don't like our odds because I think these players might crumble because in that situation, it's not the pressure of like qualifying first, second, or third. It's the pressure of you win or you're going to be remembered by the ultimate embarrassment of getting grouped at home. Something not even the 94 team was grouped in a tougher group, mind you. Um, in that specific situation, if we lose to Paraguay and we tie Australia, more likely we're out if that scenario happens. I don't think that'll happen, but if that happens.
Yeah. Also, too, I want to mention this. We did play Turkey as a tune-up game before the Gold Cup last year, and I don't remember the exact score. I think it might have been 4-2, if I'm not mistaken. I know
One.
Switzerland was it 2-1,
No, 2-1, right? I think
2-1.
Switzerland was the
Switzerland's
one
one that
that
beat us bad. Yeah,
yeah,
but we
2-1.
we struggled against Turkey. But there is
I mean,
some
we were
nuance that
missing we had a completely different lineup, right? I can pull up the
exactly
lineup, like,
one and
I
less guys.
yeah, like, if we're gonna use that game as an example, then it's not worth analyzing. Like, you look at that lineup, I'll give you the lineup here. Matt Freese, Freeman, Richards, Miles Robinson, and Arfston. So, Miles and Arfston won't start. Johnny actually had a really bad game. McGlynn, De La Torre, Luna, Tillman, and Ajiman. So, there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4 players that are gonna start?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
exactly. No, and I agree with you. That's why I don't really count that game as some like it's a crystal ball to tell us what's going to happen with this game. Is it's a completely different team. To your point, 7 starters were out of that game,
and
so
they
you
had
can't.
Yildiz, they had Arda Güler, they had their guys.
Yes, so if we only lost them 2-1, and maybe some of their guys only played 45 minutes, I don't really remember how many minutes their starters played. It doesn't really matter. If we have our full strength 11, I think we could compete with them and beat them. And so but they obviously are the hardest team in our group. I think we both agree that they're definitely the most talented team outside of us. And
Most
I think
talented, most
most
talented.
talented.
I
Yes,
will not say the hardest, I'll say most talented.
most talent. Yeah, because like you said, they underperform in World Cups. So let me
Well,
ask.
not just that, let's just talk about, like, the United States, right? Against Senegal and Germany, teams that attack, so they play and let you play, we create chances and all that. I don't know how we will do against a team that bunkers. I don't think Paraguay will do that, we'll see, but Australia definitely will. So, it could become that Australia is the toughest opponent, who knows? Um, the thing about this group, it goes back to what we said. There's no title contender, no, like, superpower, but there's no easy teams. There's no Curacao, right? There's no Haiti. There's no easy teams. And no offense to the 2 teams I just mentioned, but I mean, if we play them out, I would demand a win, right, if we play them.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So I think I can guess your answer, but what do you think would be the biggest factor in guaranteeing that we would win our group? And I'm assuming you're going to say defense because you mentioned several times you want to see some, clean sheets.
I mean, I would say win the first game. I think if we win the first game and we break the ice of kicking off the World Cup at home, winning, and like we talked about, if we win that first game, we are kind of through, right? We need like 1 point, we're pretty much through. 3 points, maybe. I think if we win that first game, that's what's going to set the tone for us to top the group. If we win that first game, very likely we'll beat Australia. And then the last game, depending on what Turkey does, we could only need a draw. And if we only need a draw, I like our odds. They're pretty high. So I would say the first game is the most important one. We got to beat Paraguay. That's the most important game.
No, I definitely agree with that. So let me ask you this, like broader picture of the World Cup, right? And we'll get on to like maybe some predictions and stuff, since we talked about the group stage. Who would you say, and I maybe you'll say Christian Pulisic, but if you are going to say him, who would be next besides him? Who is the most important player for the USMNT to succeed at the World Cup?
I also don't think it's Pulisic. Like the most
Okay.
important one, I think it's Tyler Adams. He wasn't good last game, and people are going to say, "Why are you saying this?" Like, I don't think he's the best player. The reason I'm saying Tyler Adams is we don't have another six. There is none. There's no other central defensive midfielder. So if Tyler Adams doesn't perform, who do you put there? Even if the MLS shows, they'll say put Sebastian Berhalter. He's not really a six. Neither is
No.
McKennie. And even if you love Roldan, which I don't, he's not a six either. So there is no other central defensive midfielder in this roster, which is bizarre to me that Aiden Morris and Tessman were left out. Tessman maybe was injured, but Aiden Morris was left out. So if we go by that logic, Tyler Adams is the most important one because if he goes down, we don't have a legitimate central defensive midfielder. Now, Pulisic's important. Of course he's important. Of course he is. So's Balogun. So's Robinson. Robinson's actually important because if he's out, well, you could still play Dest there and put that can work. I think in that case, Tyler Adams, he needs to be fit, he needs to be healthy, and he needs to be sharp. So that to me is the most important one.
Yeah, that's interesting. You mentioned about how there's a lot of guys we have to count on, right? There's a lot of guys that need to have important World Cups. I mean, the defense is obviously something of concern. I do think that we need some people to shine back there in order to advance. But I do think goal scoring is important, Filippo, because our defense is very, very weak, and I don't have a lot of confidence in it. I don't think you do either. Like you said that you have some concerns, you want to see it play better. So what do you do if your defense is bad? You have to score goals. So we're going to have to find someone who can score some goals, whether it's Ballo, Pulisic, but I'm looking for Ballo to take that step. And, I don't know how many goals I'd predict him to have in the group stage, but we need to see him find the back of the net, put pressure on the defense for the opposing team, and we have to score. Because I believe if we want to go far, which we'll talk about predictions in a bit, but if we want to go far, we might have to beat some teams 3-2, 4-3. Like, I don't think it's going to be all 1-0s, 2-1s. I think we're going to have to get into a brawl and score some goals and just hope that God our defense can hold on long enough to where the other team doesn't score as many as we do.
Well, the problem is like you can't try to go far in a World Cup as an underdog by outscoring the opponent. You just can't do it. That's never happened before. It just never does. Usually teams that go for that approach, I mean, we've seen Brazil do that for many years, right? Where they abandon tactics, they just go on the vibes and just like, they score, we concede 3, we try to score 4. And when you have a super talented team, that can work. I mean, that could work against Paraguay, that could work against Australia, could even work against Turkey. The moment we face a team even at Belgium's level, that's not going to work. We're going to have to figure out the defense. If we don't figure out the defense, we won't go far. You're right in the way you're thinking. It just doesn't ever work that way. I've never seen an underdog story where they just went all in and outscoring every opponent. I just never see that happening. And I don't think we have the firepower up top to do so. I think teams will be better defensively in the World Cup compared to what we saw in the friendly. So they have to adjust the defense, and there's a few ways you can adjust it. One is just hope it clicks, right? Because defense, you do need good players to defend, but it's more of like a team effort, right? It needs to be cohesive. It's like a press, right? You can still press well with players that don't press well, as long as you press as a unit and it's very cohesive and well trained and it's all coordinated and nobody like breaks the press. They do it correctly. You might not have the best pressers, but it can still be very effective. The same thing for defense, right? There's no magic trick. I don't think we have necessarily the players to have a great defense, but we could have a great team in terms of defending. We could. We just haven't seen it. So it's kind of hard to believe we will. It's just very tough to believe that we will. But we gotta hope, and like I said, we'll see that in the first game. If we can't hold a clean sheet against Paraguay, missing Enciso, that is quite. Even if we get a 2-1 win, that'll be kind of concerning. We need to hold a clean sheet in that first game.
No, I definitely agree with that, and I want to ask you this as well. I think I could probably guess this too, but if you say the player I'm thinking of, I'll ask you who would be next. But if you had to go off of what we think Pochettino's starting 11 is going to be against Paraguay, which player are you most frustrated that's going to start that game? That's most likely going to start that game. I mean, we have a pretty good sense of who the 11 is going to be.
Yeah, if it's the projected 11 that I'm thinking, there's no player that I'm frustrated. Even if people say Tim Ream, it's like McKenzie's also very error prone. There's obviously concerns about Tim Ream, but I think we'll hold most of the possession, and Tim Ream is not bad on the ball. So I don't think there's any player I'm like frustrated if it's the projected 11 that I'm thinking.
Hey, everyone, quick word from our sponsor, FanDuel. If you're into soccer like I am, you already know how exciting La Liga, the Premier League, and MLS matches can get. With FanDuel, you can make it even more fun by placing bets on your favorite teams and matches across all three leagues. Whether it's a Premier League showdown, a La Liga thriller, or an MLS game with your local club, FanDuel makes it easy and exciting to bet on what you watch. Just remember, you have to be 21 years or older to play. Please bet responsibly and only if you're of legal age and in a state where it's allowed. Download the FanDuel app or head over to fanduel.com, sign up, and get in on the action. Thanks for supporting the channel through FanDuel. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. We don't know, right?
Can I say what I'm thinking just so people don't?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
It's Freeze, Freeman, Richards, and Ream. Des Robinson, Tyler Adams with Tillman, McKennie, and Pulisic and Balogun. That's what I'm thinking that he's going to do.
Watch him like sneak Berhalter in the starting 11 for the Paraguay game.
That would be a bit frustrating, or Miles Robinson. That would be a bit frustrating, but I don't think he will. I don't think so.
No, I don't think he will either. Now I have asked you this question before, but things change. Obviously, there's new information. The team, we've seen them play against Senegal and Germany. I asked you before, maybe even one of the first videos we ever did a couple years ago, what your expectations were for the USMNT in the 2026 World Cup. And I think you mentioned earlier of maybe like what you think we could do, but what are you expecting this team to do?
So realistically, that's what you
realistically, yeah, like realistically, yes.
Realistically, I see most scenarios where we get out of our group first or second. That's realistic. One or the I don't think third. I think first or second. And we lose in the round of 16. If it's first, we would end up losing to Belgium based on the friendly and based on the way the teams are. Very likely Belgium be the favorites. If we finish in second, we likely play Argentina in the round of 16, which we would probably lose to them. That's the most realistic one. First or second, and then lose round 16. What I'm hoping for is that we pull that one upset in the round of 16, and then we go to the quarterfinals, and then it's whatever happens.
I do think we have the talent to do some upsets. What was the team? Was in 22? Was it Morocco who was the team that shocked everybody? They finished was it third or fourth?
Well, they made it to the semis. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember the third place. Yeah,
still, but that was a huge upset. No one expected them to make it that far. And with it being here, obviously we're used to conditions and stuff. I do think we're playing, encouraging ball right now. I don't know if it was you or Pete that we talked about this, but the World Cup is the most unpredictable thing there is. There's always teams to surprise in this tournament. And I think maybe we could be one of those teams. And you mentioned too, I think you said a second ago about realistic expectations. You said that you think we could get to the round of 16. You think we could win a round of 16 game?
I think my expectation is to get there. And then and then we would probably, depending on where we qualify in our group, play Belgium or Argentina. If I'm being honest, I can't demand us to beat Belgium or Argentina or expect. I can only hope.
Only hope. Yeah, exactly. So what was when you did your video, what was, and by the way, people should go check it out and see it, what your official prediction was. Where did you have us going in your prediction video, the USMNT?
I did a few, right? I did on my own. On my own, we lose, I think, in the round of 16 to Belgium or to Argentina. The one I did with Jack from Deadball TV, we actually went with the US beating Belgium in the round of 16, which we talked about. If there's one team we can upset out of the tier one teams, which Belgium kind of is because they were pot one, I would say it's Belgium. Like I like our odds against Belgium compared to France, Brazil, Argentina, England. Although, well, England, no, they never beat us. So, but all the other ones. But um, again, it's like because you're asking me if I just go as like I'm analyzing and being realistic, we lose to Belgium. That's the realistic scenario, right? But that is a beatable opponent. That's what I'll say. And if we play Belgium, I actually would come into that game fairly confident that we could pull an upset. If there's a team that we can pull an upset, I wouldn't want to play France. Honestly, not even Argentina I would want to play, even though they're not the same as the last World Cup. I wouldn't want to play them. Belgium, hey, if that's the upset we have to pull, I think we can do it.
Not too bad. Yeah.
No.
So we could do a whole video about this, but if we were to do that, right? Let's say we make it to the round of 16 and we play Belgium and we beat them, right? What would that do for soccer in this? Like I said, this is like obviously we could talk 20 minutes about, but like just what do you think that would do for soccer in this country if we made it to the quarterfinals and beat Belgium to get there?
Maybe not too much, right? I think we could win a few kids over. Some guys will gain interest. Quarterfinals would be wonderful, but I don't think too much, right? I think in this case, if you want to impact soccer in this country, then we might as well finish in second and try to knock out Argentina. Because that would do more. It's funny, right? Because in that case scenario, we would reach the same spot at the World Cup, right? The same round, quarterfinals. But beating Argentina would definitely have a much larger impact in this country when it comes to soccer than beating Belgium. We would be retiring Messi from the World Cup. That would be in all news outlets. That would be much more talked about and would draw more views for the next game than if we beat Belgium. So if the focus is just, hey, we want people to talk about it and grow, then finish second and go play Argentina and see how that goes. If we beat them, that would be historical. Beating Belgium, people will talk about it. It'll do numbers. I just don't think it'll have that like cultural impact. Argentina, if we beat them, that actually will go down as one of the biggest upsets in World Cup history because that will be Messi's last game in World Cup history. So it'll be much bigger than anything.
No, that would be huge. So what is one thing that USMNT fans should be most excited about heading into this tournament?
Well, the fact that it's the biggest World Cup of their lifetime. If you're a U.S. men's national team fan, this is the biggest World Cup of your lifetime, even if you were around in 94. Soccer's in a different place now. We have the most expensive and probably the best coach on paper we've ever had. Whether you like this generation or not, we have the most talented generation we've ever had. We're playing at home. Just like there's no reason to not be excited for this. This is the biggest World Cup of your lifetime, especially if you're young, right? You probably missed 2018 because we didn't qualify. Last World Cup was kind of underwhelming. 2014 was wonderful.
Amazing.
But just the vibes and how things went, and even for the US, the World Cup, I thought the World Cup was good for the US, for the team we had. We were not supposed to get out of that group, and we did. 2010 was awesome. 2006, not so good for the United States. This is the biggest World Cup of your lifetime. And it probably will be even after the next one for the U.S. men's national team fans. Maybe until we have another World Cup here, which who knows when that'll be. Maybe 2038, just to piss off the Europeans after Saudi Arabia, we come back here. I wouldn't be surprised, right? Because the next one will be South America, Africa, and Europe. They're going to knock off 3. Then back to Asia. After that, either you put it in Oceania or we're back here.
Exactly. No. I think there's a good chance it could be back in our lifetime. It's just not guaranteed, but I do think there's a good chance.
By the 2040s, we'll have another one here. I can guarantee you.
Hopefully we're alive by then, right? I mean, unless they're freak accident. I mean, we won't be that old, but still, hopefully we're around. Fingers crossed. I have one more like bonus question. I've asked every guest I've had on here, every like USMNT video I've done the last couple of weeks. I've never asked you this before. What's your favorite USMNT World Cup moment?
Favorite USMNT World Cup moment? I'm not gonna go Lyndon Donovan 2010 because that one's like everyone's favorite moment, and that is an awesome moment. That was like a Hollywood like ending to it. 02, I was too much of a kid, right? So I remember the World Cup, but I didn't experience as a teenager and adult. So I'm gonna go 2014 World Cup. Either Dempsey against no, probably not Dempsey, or Dempsey against Ghana. I still think it might be Jermaine Jones scoring against Portugal in the Amazon, playing in Manaus in the Amazon rainforest right there, and Jermaine Jones just scores like that freaking. It was just a strike with like anger. I would also say this one is a little upsetting, but even Tim Howard's performance against Belgium to me is one of my favorites. It's just that we lost that game. The Portugal one we didn't lose, so I'll probably go with the Jermaine Jones goal. That one to me was one of my favorite moments. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, the Algeria goal is obviously iconic, but like just because our group was so hard in 2014 and Portugal had prime Ronaldo, I thought that Jermaine Jones strike was incredible. Like, and I remember I was screaming. I always talk about around my house, and to get a draw with them, and that essentially got us out of the group. I mean, that was incredible, man. I hope that you and I are texting each other and we have that same type of energy that we saw something like that with our team at some point during this tournament.
Yeah, we didn't have in 2018 because we didn't qualify, and honestly, 2022 we didn't have any moment that was very exciting. We didn't have one.
No, I don't think so either. Filippo, I appreciate it, my friend. Before I let you go, good luck to the World Cup. It's an exciting time for all of us. I hope everyone follows you at Tactical Manager TV and your other channel where you cover the Brazilian national team and South American, national teams. So you've done Ecuador. What did you do? Colombia? Wasn't there another national team you've done a video on
I did
recently?
Argentina. I
Argentina.
kind of did Colombia. I did a dark horse video, and Colombia is heavily mentioned in it. But I did
Yes.
Argentina one too of how they cheated in every World Cup.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll send you a collab so we'll do both your channels. But you guys need to go subscribe to Filippo. He does great work. I think he's the GOAT in this industry when it comes to USMNT stuff. So I appreciate him for hopping on with us and hope you guys enjoy this video. Make sure you give it a like down below if you did. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and hit that little bell notification so you never miss a video. Until next time, guys, I will see you all soon.